And so that's a really nice tool to figure out, how do I feel on a regular day? And then when things kind of are more than that, that's when you start getting those red flags. When it comes to suicide, I cannot emphasize this more, is that if your kiddo is saying, or a person you loved is saying, I want to die, we take that very seriously, no matter what you think the underlying reason is or the context. Because even just hearing somebody say, I hear you are not happy, I hear you're not doing well, or you feel like you only have one way out right now, is really valid. And someone to hear that it's okay to have these feelings is validating in itself. And so when someone discloses, I feel like I want to die, or I'm having thoughts of that, having someone to listen and then hear it is really important. And so
for the individual, right?
Yes, for the individual.
And it's also, you could, when you talk to the individual too, when they're in a more regulated state,
yes,
about that this is biology, right?
Yes,
because
absolutely.
individuals on the spectrum have a higher suicide ideology.
Yes.
First, can you explain that,
Yes,
and what
absolutely.
that number is?
Yeah. So what we know is that suicidality, which is across the spectrum. So ideation is our thoughts, behaviors are things like getting ready to potentially engage in a suicide attempt and then actually attempting. We know that whole spectrum of suicidality is much more common in people with FASD. And what we know is that adolescents or young adults are about 5.5 times more likely than the general population to experience suicidality. So because of brain-based differences and difficulties that impulsivity,
right,
challenges with stress response,
that's right,
emotion regulation, those things make people with FASD or people who are neurodivergent more at risk for suicidality.
Yeah, and then difficulties with affect regulation too, which is the brain domain that they added, and then when they updated the guidelines, because that manages your emotions.
Exactly, totally.
You know, and which then gets confused with other disorders, and they get, misdiagnosed. I'm sure you deal with that.
Absolutely, all the time.